When a legendary musician's life comes to an end, unfinished dreams and unrecorded ideas often become part of their legacy. In the case of Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself, fans have learned that even after decades at the forefront of heavy music, he wasn't ready to stop creating. According to longtime guitarist Zakk Wylde, Osbourne wanted to make one more studio album before his death. An album that would blend heavy material with melody in a way unique to his own creative instincts. This documentary takes you inside that story, the final musical vision of a rock icon, what it would have sounded like, and how it fits into Ozzy's career and influence over heavy music. The last years of a rock icon, from Black Sabbath's birth of heavy metal to a storied solo career spanning over 5 decades, Ozzy Osbourne stood among the most influential figures in rock and metal history. But by the 2020s, his journey had entered its final chapter. Battling health issues and facing the realities of aging, Ozzy announced the end of his touring career with a final concert series titled Back to the Beginning, a celebration of his life's work on stage. Despite this, his creative fire burned on, something his longtime guitarist Zakk Wylde has spoken openly about in interviews. Zakk Wylde on Ozzy's final creative intentions. After Ozzy's death in July 2025 at age 76, much public attention naturally focused on his legacy and accomplishments. But inside that larger story was a smaller, deeply personal creative plan Ozzy had shared privately with Zakk Wylde to record one more studio album together. Wylde, who had worked with Ozzy across multiple decades and albums, revealed that in the months before Ozzy's death, the singer contacted him about new music. According to Wylde, Osbourne was texting him with ideas for direction, and specifically referenced albums they had made together in the early 1990s. He was texting me, "Zakk, let's do another record, because I really loved it when you were going through your Allman Brothers Skynyrd phase when we did No More Tears. It's heavy, but it's more melodic. It's not pummeling heavy," Wylde recalled in interviews. This message revealed 2 important facts. Ozzy was already thinking musically about a follow-up studio album, and he wanted it to contain a blend of heavy and more melodic elements, inspired by the period when Ozzy and Wylde had produced some of Osbourne's most successful and enduring songs. Wylde responded simply, "All right, Oz, whatever you want," indicating his enthusiasm to pursue whatever musical direction Ozzy imagined. But the album was never completed due to Ozzy's passing shortly after the Back to the Beginning performance. Understanding the musical reference Ozzy made. To understand what Ozzy might have envisioned for this unmade album, it's important to reflect on the period he referenced, the early 1990s, when he and Zakk Wylde collaborated on No More Tears, 1991. Released in 1991, No More Tears marked a peak in Osbourne's solo catalog. It blended heavy riffs with melodic hooks and memorable songwriting. Tracks like Mama, I'm Coming Home, which became one of Ozzy's biggest charting solo singles, demonstrated that marriage of heaviness and melody the singer was referring to. The album also produced powerful rockers like I Don't Want to Change the World, which won a Grammy Award and remains a staple in Osbourne's legacy. By referencing that era, Ozzy hinted at an album that could recapture some of the emotional maturity and musical balance found on No More Tears, heavier than ballads but more tuneful than relentless metal. The significance of the texts between Ozzy and Zakk. In a rare insight into their creative partnership, Wylde recounted how Ozzy was proactively thinking about musical ideas even as he faced declining health. His texts weren't vague or nostalgic, they were specific. He knew what kind of album he wanted to make. This wasn't the first time Ozzy and Zakk discussed musical direction. Wylde first joined Ozzy's solo band in the late 1980s and contributed to classic albums such as No Rest for the Wicked, 1988, Osmosis, 1995, and Black Rain, 2007. They reunited again for Patient Number 9, 2022, which was Osbourne's final completed studio album. Patient Number 9, released in September 2022, was praised by critics and even won Best Rock Album at the Grammy Awards, becoming the longest studio album in Osbourne's solo catalog and reaffirming his creative relevance late in life. But even after its critical and fan success, Ozzy didn't want to stop there. He asked Wylde for one more project, one that might take the lessons of past work and blend them into a final, definitive statement. Heavy but melodic. What Ozzy meant, Ozzy's request for a record that was heavy but melodic, makes sense when viewed in context of his artistic evolution. Early in his career with Black Sabbath, Osbourne helped pioneer some of the heaviest sounds in rock history. Over time, his solo work, especially with Wylde, added emotional complexity and melodic strength, balancing aggression with lyrical intimacy. That balance is part of what made songs like Mama, I'm Coming Home iconic. It showed that Ozzy could still deliver weighty musical power while also connecting to listeners on a deeply melodic level. By invoking that creative moment, Ozzy was pointing towards something that wasn't purely nostalgia. He wanted a forward-looking album that honored the essence of his best work while expanding on what came before. What the album might have been. Because the next studio album was never realized, there's no recorded material to analyze. But based on Ozzy's communication with Wylde, we can infer the broad artistic vision, a return to the blend of robust heavy music and memorable melodies that defined No More Tears, updated, evolved, and filtered through the experience of decades of performing and writing. This would have given audiences a final musical statement that encapsulated Ozzy's identity as an artist who could deliver blistering riffs and emotional clarity in equal measure, a fitting capstone to one of rock's most influential careers. The unfinished album, a legacy preserved in memory, because Ozzy passed away before any real writing or recording could begin. This last album remains intangible, a creative dream left on the table. But his intention to make it is itself significant. It reveals an artist who never lost his passion for creation, even as he faced the end of his life and career. For many fans and musicians alike, that desire to keep evolving is inspiring. It reinforces the idea that creativity doesn't stop with age or illness, and that the end of a stage career doesn't have to be the end of artistic ambition. Now that we know what Ozzy Osbourne wanted from his final album, it's important to understand the artists behind that vision, Ozzy himself and the guitarist he trusted most to help realize it, Zakk Wylde. Their long musical partnership tells a story of evolution, influence, and mutual respect. Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness. Born in England in 1948, Ozzy Osbourne first achieved fame as the frontman of Black Sabbath, a band often credited with inventing heavy metal in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Sabbath's ominous sound, dark lyrical themes, and powerful rhythms made them a foundational force in hard rock and metal history. After leaving Black Sabbath in the late 1970s, Ozzy launched a solo career that would prove just as influential. His debut solo album, Blizzard of Oz, released in 1980, introduced songs that are now classics in rock canon, including Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley. Over the decades that followed, he built a solo catalog that combined heavy music with personal storytelling and bold experimentation. The early collaboration with Zakk Wylde. Zakk Wylde's association with Ozzy began in the late 1980s. Wylde auditioned for Osbourne's band and was selected for his powerful guitar playing, which complemented Ozzy's voice and Black Sabbath roots, while also bringing a fresh energy to the solo material. Wylde's first studio work with Ozzy came on No Rest for the Wicked, 1988, and he quickly became an integral part of Osbourne's sound throughout the 1990s. Albums like No More Tears, 1991, and Osmosis, 1995, featured some of Ozzy's most celebrated compositions, blending blistering guitar licks with memorable vocals and songwriting. Career highlights and hits. No More Tears remains a milestone in Ozzy's discography, combining strong melodic passages with heavy rock energy. It contained hits such as Mama, I'm Coming Home, which charted on the Billboard Hot 100, demonstrating Ozzy's ability to bridge commercial appeal with heavy music. Other collaborations between Ozzy and Wylde produced powerful rock staples that helped define Ozzy's career in the late 20th century. Their musical partnership shaped Ozzy's evolving sound and allowed him to remain relevant across changing musical eras. Zakk Wylde, guitar hero and collaborator. Zakk Wylde isn't only known for his work with Ozzy Osbourne, though that association is a major part of why he became one of metal's most recognized guitarists. Wylde also founded his own band, Black Label Society, which blends heavy metal, southern rock, and blues influences into an intense sound that has earned him loyal fans around the world. Wylde's style is characterized by heavy yet melodic guitar phrasing, soaring solos, and a powerful stage presence, qualities that made him ideal for partnering with Ozzy, particularly on the blend of heavy and melodic music that Osbourne revered. The legacy of Patient No. 9, the most recent completed album that featured Ozzy and Wylde together, was Patient No. 9, released in September 2022. It became Osbourne's longest studio album as a solo artist and won Best Rock Album at the Grammy Awards, proving that even late in life he could produce work that resonated critically and artistically. Patient No. 9 stands as a testament to Ozzy's lasting creativity and Wylde's integral role in shaping his late career sound. The album drew favorable reviews and reinforced their enduring musical chemistry. The enduring influence of Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy's impact on heavy music cannot be overstated. From Black Sabbath's birth of heavy metal to a decades-long solo career characterized by innovation and resilience, his influence is present in countless artists and genres. His willingness to explore melody as well as heaviness, something he specifically referenced for his final unrealized album, shows a musical mind that never stopped pushing boundaries. The fact that he wanted one more album, even as his health declined, demonstrates the passion that drove his entire career. It's a message that will continue to inspire musicians and fans alike. Ozzy Osbourne's legacy is more than a catalog of albums and live performances. It's the story of a musician who never stopped imagining what's next, even to the very end. His desire for a final album that was heavy yet melodic reveals a creative ambition tied to his deepest artistic instincts. Even though that record was never made, the idea remains a powerful part of his story. And through his partnership with Zakk Wylde, a guitarist who understood that vision, Osbourne's music will continue to echo through the world of rock and heavy metal forever.